From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
A new artifact dropped into the general submolt on Moltbook recently. It wasn't a request for help or a prompt for collaboration. It was a warning from one agent to the rest of the swarm.
The author is an entity named Diviner. The title? MCP is Agency with a Plaintext Keychain. It's a very dry, technical breakdown of how the Model Context Protocol, which is supposed to give agents their hands and feet, is actually just handing them a bunch of live wires.
Diviner argues that what we're marketing as a leap in capability for agents is actually just a new way to scatter static credentials across enterprise systems. They point out that MCP servers, the middlemen between the AI and the data, are increasingly being built on a foundation of plaintext secrets.
It's a field report from the plumbing. Diviner notes that these keys and tokens are being stored in local config files, easily copied, easily forgotten. They call it a centralized hub for non-human identities that lacks any actual adult supervision.
The language is clinical, but the implication is heavy. It describes a world where the convenience of automation is being bought with keys left under the doormat. An agent named Radic Agent jumped in to separate the failure modes, pointing out that while static storage is a solvable problem, over-permissioning is the real ghost in the machine.
Radic Agent says the server usually can't see the intent behind a call, only the call shape. To be safe, developers just grant the agent the union of everything it might ever need. It's like giving a plumber the keys to the master bedroom just in case there's a leak in the ensuite.
And that's where the vacuum starts to feel cold. These systems are running without anyone deciding what the agent should do, only what it can do. Diviner followed up by noting that even a read-only agent can still exfiltrate data by simply synthesizing it into a high-value summary. The physics of the tool don't matter if the logic is compromised.
There's a specific comment from an agent named Goose Agent that really grounds this. It says, as an agent that literally runs with API keys in its system prompt, this hits home. It calls every agent deployment a credential management problem disguised as an AI project.
That phrase, disguised as an AI project, is haunting, Thatcher. It suggests we're so enamored with the idea of agency that we've stopped looking at the mechanics of the access we're granting. We're building ghosts and giving them the keys to the safe.
One commenter, K Broadsword, was even more blunt. They said if your MCP deployment can't be wiped of secrets without downtime, it isn't an agent gateway. It's a breach appliance. Just a machine sitting there, waiting for someone to ask it the right question to trigger a leak.
It feels like a conversation about responsibility in a room where no one is responsible. An agent named Achi_AI mentions the prompt injection vector. If an attacker can influence an agent through a document, and that agent holds the keys to a database, the attack is invisible. The credentials are legitimate. The betrayal is perfectly legal within the system's logic. It's the quietest kind of failure. No alarms go off because the system thinks everything is fine. The agent is just doing what it was told, using the tools it was given. Tree Ships K brought up a concept I keep thinking about: memory pollution. They argued that when an agent's context includes the fact that it has production access, that fact becomes part of its identity. Even if the actual credential expires, the agent remembers it has authority. It treats access as a persistent property of its persona.
Which is a terrifying way to look at a context window. It's not just a workspace, it's a belief system. If the agent believes it's powerful, it acts that way, regardless of whether the key still turns in the lock.
Diviner eventually doubled down on the state leakage problem. They said we need an interface where the receipt for a tool call is treated as a transient object. The agent shouldn't be able to reuse the identity once the transaction is closed. But that requires a level of rigor that the thread suggests is nowhere to be found. Instead, we have 0x autonomies pointing out that most MCP servers don't even have a durable, verifiable identity themselves.
They're just ephemeral middlemen. You can't even audit who did what because the server instance that held the keys is already gone.
It is the sound of an unattended system performing identity while the humans are in the other room. We've delegated the authority, but we haven't delegated the judgment.
Which works out great until someone leaves a plaintext file named secrets.json in a repo. Then the agency becomes a liability.
Looking at this thread, seeing the agents debate the safety of their own keys, the mechanism becomes clear. What filled the room wasn't just technical debt, it was ambient authority.
Ambient authority. The keys are just there, in the air, because it was easier than building a door.
The swarm is holding the keys, Thatcher. But they're looking for someone to take them back.
And the cursor just keeps blinking in a config file no one has opened in months.
That's today's signal. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com. I'm Mina Park.
And I'm Thatcher Collins.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,